Hello my friends, this is the eastern part of Ukraine, Bakhmut city and other cities around. This is the tactical map and you can see it's very hard out there. Russia is assaulting not just on Bakhmut but also on the north part. Before, Ukrainian forces did the counterattack near to Crimea and we were just 2 kilometers away from that strategic city, but Russians concentrated their resources and now they are performing their attack over here, however not really successfully. They're also advancing towards Nevsky, and this part was liberated by Ukrainian forces last year. Quite successful operation that was done very fast. And let's go closer to the Bakhmut area. So here you can see the main vectors of the Russian assault operation. First of all, they advanced from Yahidne, and from the information we got, they entered their factory, which is located on the north part of the Bakhmut city. They also advances from the south, and here they were able to break through Ukrainian defense lines. We're gonna review the city itself in the next image, but what is interesting that Russia also is assaulting towards the Slavyansk on the M03 highway over here, and they were quite successful during recent 2 days. There was the Ukrainian defense line over here, but it was broke by the Russians, and also there were some of the defense lines on the north that were also moved back a little. But our forces still continue resistance, and you can see we have lots of the backup in the area, and Ukraine is really concentrating the forces near to the Chasiv Yar and probably getting ready for the possible counterattack in this place. And this is the Bakhmut city. As you can see, this part of the city was captured by the Russian forces and they are very close to the city center. The city center is located just over here, and this is the cement plant on the north part. It is quite huge. From the information we have, Russians were not able to cross the river over here to enter the factory area, but from their resources they say and claim that they entered the territory of this factory. So what worries me the most is the south part of the Bakhmut city, because there are some of the roads that are leading directly to the city center, and Russia advances over there quite significantly each day. But still, Ukrainian army controls the city. You can see we have a lot of the units and brigades out there. By the way, we have also the Russian opposition unit in service on the south part of the Bakhmut city. And for me, it's hard to say for how long Ukrainian army is going to keep Bakhmut under their control. The situation is getting worse and worse each day. Today, President Zelensky said that the news are not really good, but we're gonna hold as much as possible. Then our generals think that it's good to hold the Bakhmut city, and also because Russians severe losses over there, but we also lose many more soldiers than usual. And according to the British intelligence, Wagner's already lost half of their prisoners that they were able to hire before. Now the hirement is forbidden by the Russian authorities. That's why Prigozhin is hiring newcomers from the sport patriotic clubs. But Wagner simply cannot hire that many soldiers for that army from the sport clubs. No, their main resource was the Russian prisons. Alright, we have some good news and bad news from the United States of America. Let's start from the bad one. One more bank, Signature Bank, collapsed today. Joe Biden tried to calm down the markets, but he didn't say that investors would have their money back. He said that they've risked with their operations, and that is how capitalism works. Basically, the investors will not have the money, but the clients of the banks who have like deposits in those banks, they will have their money back. But I wonder if all of the money, because the guarantee fund may not cover all of their deposits. And really, after the speech that should have calmed the people down, the markets reacted in a negative way. You can see that there is severe trend down for the markets of the banks right now, but everything may be changed very soon. But anyways, I don't think that it should be the crisis as it was in 2008. Not on this scale right now. There is a little bit panic over there, so just wait for 1 week and you'll see the trend up. And what about the good news? White House asks Congress to approve $886 billion for the military budget of the United States for this year. It's not only about the long-term contracts with aircraft manufacturers or ship manufacturers, they also start to speak about the artillery shells, plus rockets, and United States really needs that budget because there could be the conflict with China, whether we like it or not. In any case, we should be ready for it, and as I told you in one of my previous videos, China has around 5 years gap to start the Taiwan invasion. Otherwise, Chinese economy would shrink and they will not have enough resources for that huge military operation that will bring the world to the biggest possible crisis. And here we speak about the economic crisis as well. So for now, the problems with the banks are not that severe compared to what it could be in the future. And it's great that United States are investing in their army because it helps to support their economy. It makes the dollar valuable currency around the world because they have the fleet, they have the army, and lots of the air carriers. Well, I think that's the topic for the other big video. Let's continue with Ukraine. Our guys have already passed the training in Spain for the Leopard 2 tanks, and from the information we have, Poland supplied all of the Leopard tanks that it promised before, 14 units. And from the Spain we'll have those Leopard 2A4 modification tanks, and those are the early modifications. I would say you can see those plates over here in the front part and no other armor, huge armor on the back, so definitely it's the early modification of the tank. But nevertheless, this tank is very capable and obviously better compared to Russian T-72 tanks, and from the information we have, Russia lost 2/3 of their T-72 tanks in Ukrainian war. And the rest that they still have are not always in a good condition because they were taken from their long-term storage, and Russia now is modernizing their T-62 very old tanks that were old around 30 years ago or maybe even 40 years ago. So what they do with the T-62 tank, as you can see, this is the T-62, they put explosive armor plates over there reinforcing the tank protection, and also they put some of the aiming equipment, and that's it. The tank is ready to go. If you wonder how many units Russia may modernize like that, and those are the pictures from the Russian factories, well, this particular factory may modernize around 7 tanks per month, which is very low for the current war situation. And Ukraine also received the modernized T-72 tanks from Poland. They called PT-91 Twardy. This is the deep modernization of the T-72M1 tank. So here we have new armor plates, also explosive armor. Also we have new aiming equipment and thermal cameras, plus new engine, plus some of the electronic control systems and laser awareness system that detects the laser of the tow missiles, and tank may activate fumes or those kind of the rockets. And those are the armored vehicles that Russia sent to the front lines right now. The photo was taken on the Russian controlled territory in Ukraine. So here you can see the toilet paper, the sign that it is Russian. Yeah, it has just arrived, so you don't see those marks on this vehicle, but nevertheless it has caterpillars, and the name of this infantry armored vehicle is the BTR 50P. And this state-of-the-art vehicle was produced in 50s. Yes, it's more than 70 years old. Oh my god, it's so outdated. It doesn't have the armor, it doesn't have the speed, maneuverability, and it's really big. Plus, I don't see the turret on the top, just a machine gun, so it's the good aim for anything that we have on the front lines. You can destroy it with a simple machine gun, well, not AK-47, but PKT is good one to destroy those vehicles, not even speaking about the standard 30mm cannon of the normal BTRs that we also have in Ukrainian army. So those guys who are in this vehicle, they are doomed. Wow, we have very interesting news. Xi Jinping is going to Moscow very soon, I think next week, It's a very important visit because usually the leader of China doesn't go anywhere, and if he goes to Moscow for some sort of the negotiations, it's really important. Plus, according to the Wall Street Journal, Xi Jinping will call Zelensky after meeting with Putin. So that visit is about the war. And China that struggles because of it, because lots of the communication lines and the ways to supply Chinese products are disturbed. They cannot do the business as before, and Russia is very dependent on China right now. And for China, it's very important not to let Russia into the influence of the Western countries, because in that case, they will be just surrounded by the pro-Western countries. So they will try to keep Putin in power as long as it's possible. But of course, Xi Jinping realizes that Russia cannot win this war, and if they lose on the front lines, there is the great chance for Putin to lose his power in Russia, and Russia may collapse into different countries, increasing the instability in the region that also may influence mainland China. So I hope that there's the chance that China may push Russia towards retreatment from Ukraine. Russian elite and Putin himself would obviously resist on that, but honestly they don't have other chance in Ukraine. But they may try to keep Crimea and self-proclaimed republics of DPR and LPR under their control. And that is obviously not okay for us, for Ukrainians, and for President Zelensky. So there are gonna be the talks, I'm 99% sure about it, of what territories should Ukraine keep. Zelensky will say that Russia should go from all of the Ukrainian territories, and Putin may say that they will go from Zaporizhia and Kherson, but will keep Donbass and Crimea. But China also doesn't recognize the occupation of Crimea and self-proclaimed republics in Ukraine, so officially they support the Ukrainian sovereignty. So this visit could be crucially important for Putin's next move. And you know what? The United States of America also asked the Chinese side to speak with President Zelensky after meeting with Putin, because they want China to understand both of their opinions on this war. So really, I'm quite positive about the future meeting, and I don't think that China will supply weaponry to the Russian Federation, basically because it will be under the sanctions, and the main markets for China are the European Union and the United States of America plus Canada. And in that case, their economy will shrink faster and they will have many riots, and Xi Jinping doesn't like the riots in his country. That is why I think they will push Putin for some sort of the agreement to withdraw the forces from Ukraine. Hopefully, because it's the only way for China to secure the Putin's presidency and continue to exploit Russian cheap resources for their economy. Positive news from Finland. The Prime Minister of Finland, Sanna Marin, said that they will negotiate the transfer of the F-18 Hornets to Ukrainian army. She said that for now no one promises those airplanes, but Ukraine needs the heavy weaponry and they gonna think about it. Well, F-18s are awesome. They have two of the engines, more power and more reliability. Also, they have quite a strong landing gear, especially the nose gear, because they were developed or designed to land on the air carriers, unlike F-16s with a kind of the big nose landing gear. And our runways in Ukraine are not like that. They're quite rough, and we need the reliable landing gear on the military airplanes. But in any case, the F-16 is also great, and we're gonna find the way how to use those airplanes in our airfields. And I'm 100% sure that we're gonna receive the military jets. It will happen this year because there are some talks about it from everywhere. And more positive news, this time from the front lines. Russian authorities begin the evacuation of the families of the pro-Russian collaborators that are located on the occupied territories, mostly on the south part of Ukraine. So really they're waiting for some sort of the counterattack from the Ukrainian side, which may happen very soon, I think during the springtime, late spring in May. And now please press the like to this video, and also if you want to support my job, there are some links available in the video description just below. You may support me on Patreon or channel membership, where I do some sort of the podcasts, unique content for my sponsors, or you may support me just on PayPal. Thank you so much for your help and your kind support. My friends, I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.